I'm Aaron Friedman, and this is Politodoxy. Today's topic, they actually hate you. Yes, we know this already, they hate us. But this is the latest story on how they hate us. We all heard what happened in Ohio when a train derailed and toxic chemicals was pumped into the air and water supply. And when the citizens of East Palestine, Ohio, started noticing, wait a minute, our animals are dying, our throats are itchy, and getting headaches and so on, they started to complain. How dare they complain? Who do they think they are? Do they think they are some kind of oppressed minority? What, do they think they're gonna get help from FEMA or something? LOL! It's your fault for not living in a liberal state where crime is skyrocketing, but everything is catered to your whim, and you have no real connection to the outside world. The Biden White House made it very clear that they will do everything on equity. Well, since there was pain in the past, and people were wronged for some part of the American history, this is why people now have to suffer. It's the equitable thing to do. To be clear, this crisis, and yes, it is a crisis, even bigger than the one in Ukraine, in terms of what should matter to Americans, was started by an accident, then two governors, one Republican and one Democrat, signing off to burn all these toxic chemicals. The reason for that is otherwise it would have exploded and toxic shrapnel would have been thrown all over the place. So if it were the right or wrong thing to do, I'm not an expert on this, so I can't really tell you, but it sounded like the right thing to do. But then when help was requested, to at the very least move these families out, clean up the place, and compensate them for what happened, the federal government was nowhere to be seen. This from the people who love getting the federal government involved in literally everything that has happened in the United States. If you are an illegal alien crossing the southern border and your child has been separated from you due to, we don't know if it's really your child, you might just be a coyote, so we're gonna actually separate him to see exactly if this all matches up and make sure it is your child, and then of course you should be deported, but you're not going to be, so that's a different subject. But if that happened to you, then the Biden administration wants to give you $450,000 because our American citizens are not worth that much, but illegal aliens, they are worth that. But if you are a citizen in Ohio who got screwed royally by the government, then you don't get nothing, maybe a $1,000 check. And if in 5 or 10 years you develop cancer, well, too bad for you. You probably voted for Trump, so I don't care. Let's see what else. Oh yes, if you are a foreign nation in which corruption is rampant, as a matter of fact, you might just be the most corrupt nation in Europe, and our so-called elites have been doing business, probably corruptive business, in your country, and your country is invaded by a foreign power, which shouldn't be our business, we will send you $100 billion checks. Do you think that with the $100 billion check we could have fixed all of our railroad problems? Just saying. At least now we know what the Biden administration meant when they said we should get ready for a dark winter. Well, I think it finally arrived. Also, now we know exactly what they meant by we're gonna fundamentally change the United States. And by that they meant they're gonna turn it into a cancerous wasteland. But only where the red counties are. You know what I'm starting to think? They have said that these people should start drinking the water. It's safe. Drink the water. It's fine. It's okay. It's the best water there is. And when asked if they would drink the water, oh no, we won't drink. You plebes, you losers, you Trump supporters, you drink the water. We, the elite, we will not drink this water. No, they should be forced to drink the water. The moment they said that this water is safe, they should have been brought down and they should have been forced to drink that water. You want to make your own citizens drink water that is full with toxic chemicals, but you're not gonna drink it? You should have been forced to drink that water the moment you said it's safe. Otherwise, we know you're trying to poison American citizens. Make no mistake, this is a huge scandal. But why am I surprised? The federal government has a long history of not protecting American citizens. They actively hate you. And where is Pete Buttigieg? Oh, yes, Pete Buttigieg is busy explaining that it's Trump's fault. Oh, yes, of course. Why didn't I think of that? Of course it's Trump's fault. Just imagine waking up and not being able to find your left sock, and now you blame Trump for literally everything. It's Trump's fault that I couldn't find my left sock. It's Trump's fault that my cell phone slipped out of my hand. This is how we know Trump is the greatest real estate mogul in the entire world. He lives rent-free in their minds. I'm just waiting for the IRS to pick up a bill from Donald Trump why he hasn't been paying his rent. Now, Buttigieg's argument was basically that there was some kind of rules that wasn't followed or weren't enforced, and that's why these train derailments have been happening. Well, I've noticed you've been transportation secretary for about 2 years. Why haven't you fixed any of this? Maybe these problems were under the Trump administration. If you knew about it, why didn't you fix it? You should have asked the Biden administration, hey, you're giving so much money for Ukraine, maybe $1 billion for me so I could fix all of these problems? Another argument from Buttigieg, oh, the genius of this guy. He's saying that, well, trail derailments happen all the time, like 1,000 per year or so. I don't remember exactly which number he said on how much every year. But something to that, about 1,000 per year. Wait, what? And that's why this is not a big deal? So your argument boils down to, oh, it's actually not that big of a problem because the problem is actually much worse. I don't think you're making the argument you think you're making. Why is this even happening? Why are we sending money to Ukraine to help them build their infrastructure, which, by the way, doesn't go to that, doesn't even go to the military. It just gets loaded into the pockets of their corrupt administrators, politicians, and so on. But why aren't we building it here? Didn't we just pass an infrastructure bill or something? Oh, sorry, my bad, it was for the climate. Hey, speaking of the climate, what is this gonna do to the climate? Greta Thunberg, are you here? Anybody? Anybody? John Kerry, are you here? Climate czar John Kerry, who will never ever give up his private jet. Where are you? Have you spoken on this? Do you have any problem with this? Does any liberal who has been shouting about the climate catastrophe that's about to come within the next 5 minutes but never actually arrives, it was actually first global cooling, then global warming, now climate change, next you'll think you'll know the sun is actually alive, so we now need to do some human sacrifice or something? I don't know where these cultists are gonna go next, but none of them have spoken up about this. They don't care. Nothing they say is real. Don't ever take these guys seriously, ever again. And specifically, we're talking about the elites here. Do you remember? They shut down the country for about 2 years. Why? Because of some kind of a virus. That in actuality acts more like the flu to normal people. If you're not fat, if you don't have any other conditions, and so on, you should be fine. If you do have some conditions, well, you need to protect yourself, and you need to exercise if you are fat. And the elderly, they should be protected, of course. And for them, it was a danger. But for the vast majority of Americans, it wasn't. And we need to shut down the entire country, and more people actually died from those shutdowns. Thanks for that, by the way. And you need to wear a mask because the air you breathe in is literally toxic. It could kill you. Oh my god, it could kill you. But it's all fine, it's all good. You could go back to Ohio. Are there cancerous chemicals in the air? That's no problem. You don't need to worry about that. How does this even make any sense? Can anybody please explain this to me? Are they just trolling us at this point? We all know they hate us. We know this. It's proven fact. You cannot go around this. We know this. So, are they trolling us by now? Oh, if it saves one life. Here it looks like if it kills one life, it was worth it to get these people back into their houses. We all know what would have happened if this would have happened in any black majority neighborhoods. It would have been called a catastrophe. The entire federal government would have been down there taking care of everything, as they should, by the way. I'm against pumping cancerous chemicals into the air. Shocking, I know. But here, they have no problem with it. I'm sick and tired of calling these people the forgotten men and women. They are not the forgotten men and women. They are the actively ignored men and women of this country. Nobody has forgotten them. They are just ignored. We know they exist. We know what they do. We know that they are the blood and heart of this country. We just ignored them. And I don't care if you're a Democrat living there or a Republican, conservative, libertarian, socialist. I don't care. You don't deserve to get your house being pumped full of chemicals. Why is this even a conversation? Why are we even debating this? I do not care whatever argument the federal government has against sending down FEMA. I don't care. The moment you see on the other side somebody saying, well, actually, I don't care what you have to say. This should have been taken care of immediately. Now, others have blamed Norfolk Southern for their culpability in this. Yes, and of course, they have some of the blame for what happened here. They should take better care of their trains and make sure that everything runs perfectly well. And them sending down people to get those citizens to sign legal documents would make sure that they can't sue against the railroad. That is utterly despicable. But this is clearly a failure of the Biden administration. No, it's not actually a failure. It's an active act of hatred towards American citizens. They know exactly what they're doing. If it were a black majority county, they would have sent down FEMA and all governmental organizations to help with the cleanup, but they didn't right away. Because if they did, it wouldn't have been equitable. We have seen failure after failure, not only from the Biden administration, but also from the individuals in the Biden administration, such as Pete Buttigieg, Janet Yellen, to Mayorkas, and who not. You know what? I find it quite comical that these same leftists, they love how the Soviet Union worked. One of their biggest achievements was, well, the trains ran on time. I would at the very least expect them to know how to run the trains on time, since they love trains so much. But I digress. So, in conclusion, they hate you, and they should be held accountable. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Please leave 5 stars, follow, and please share. This is very important to help this podcast get more and more traction. Share wherever you can to whoever you can. Thank you very much. If you want to reach out to me, you could reach out to me at Aaron Friedman on Truth Social. And remember, stay political.